Okay, let's unpack this. Imagine, just for a second, you're a university student. You're getting ready for sophomore year, maybe thinking about, dorms, finding the good campus coffee spot, that sort of thing. But what if your new dorm, what if it wasn't a dorm at all? What if your new address was, and this is quite literal, one of the most famous political homes in the world, the White House? That's pretty much the really intriguing situation we're diving into today. We're drawing our info from excerpts from Barron Trump's White House sophomore year at NYU. And our mission here really is just to explore the details of this very unique educational setup, this residential transition. We want to get into the what, sure, but also think about what it might imply.
Yeah.
What kind of dimensions does this add to going to university, especially if you're studying politics?
It's a fascinating setup, isn't it? And what's really compelling, I think, is how often these kinds of big life changes, these personal shifts, they could really shine a light on broader things, or like in this case, create really exceptional opportunities. This situation really stands out. It vividly puts a student's academic life right smack in the middle of national, even global conversations. It offers this incredibly immersive learning environment, almost unparalleled, you could say. It's kind of a perfect case study in how location, like physical place, can dramatically reshape how you learn.
Absolutely. And it's not just a wild idea. The source we have gives us some pretty concrete details about this move. So before this, as a freshman, Barron Trump was at NYU's main campus, right there in Greenwich Village, New York City.
The classic NYC college experience.
Exactly. That bustling, urban, liberal arts feel.
Yeah.
Late nights, busy streets. The campus is kind of woven right into the city.
Right. Very different from D.C.
Completely different. Because the source confirms a major shift. For sophomore year, his academic home base has moved. He's now at NYU's, a smaller academic center in Washington, D.C.
Okay.
So that's a big geographical jump right there. Trading that, village vibe for the, let's say, the more structured, policy-focused atmosphere of D.C. And here's the part that really makes it stand out, makes it different from pretty much any other college story you've heard. He's not just in D.C., he's actually residing at the White House while he attends NYU's program there.
Right. Living there.
Yeah. I mean, just pause and think about that for a moment. Most students are worried about, loud roommates, finding an apartment they can afford, maybe campus meal plans.
Standard stuff.
Right. His reality, living inside this secure, historic place that's constantly buzzing with national and international stuff.
It's worlds away from the usual college experience.
It really is. Worlds away from, ramen noodles and shared bathrooms that most of us remember. And it makes you wonder immediately, what kind of university experience is that? How do you even balance studying, higher education with living in such a high-profile, unique environment?
Yeah, the contrast is just huge. It's not just changing your address, like you said.
Yeah.
It's a fundamental change in your daily world.
Yeah.
And it's not only the residents. The source also mentions a specific shift in his academic program. So unlike maybe a general studies track you might find in freshman year, this DC program he's in now, it has a very clear, specific focus.
Okay, what's the focus?
Politics, journalism, and public policy.
Ah, okay, right in line with the location.
Exactly. And the document we're looking at, it suggests this points to a possible shift towards more politically oriented studies. Now, that word possible is important, I think.
Right, it's not definitive.
No, it hints more at maybe an evolving interest, some exploration, which, is pretty normal for sophomores figuring things out.
Okay.
But this specific shift is towards studies that directly line up with the environment he's now living in. So if we step back and look at the bigger picture, pursuing these specific fields, politics, journalism, public policy, while you're literally living where it all happens, that offers this just incredibly immersive educational setting, really unparalleled. For you, the listener, it really underlines how much location and your immediate surroundings can shape your education, especially in fields like these that are so tied to the real world.
Yeah.
It's kind of the difference between reading about policy in a book and potentially seeing it unfold, even just peripherally, every day.
That distinction really hits home, reading about it versus sort of being near the source. And it totally reframes what campus life could even mean in this context. But okay, so location is one huge piece of this. The other fascinating part the source brings up is the academic focus itself. So let's dig into that a bit more. What does this combination of, place and program actually mean for someone studying these subjects? Like you said, it's one thing to read about politics or debate policy in a classroom somewhere else. It feels like a totally different thing to be living inside the White House while you're doing that studying with your classes just, down the road in the city where it all gets debated and made, my mind immediately goes to, okay, what are the unique advantages here? Or maybe the unique perspectives you might get from living like that.
Well, it immediately makes me think about situational learning, where your environment is basically a constant dynamic teacher. The source seems to imply that in a place like the White House, even just sort of casual observation could teach you about the hidden curriculum of power.
Hidden curriculum, what do you mean by that?
Like the unspoken rules, the protocols, the way political calculations happen in real time, maybe the speed at which information moves around, stuff that no textbook can really capture properly.
Okay, gotcha. The stuff behind the scenes.
Exactly. It's not just theory. It's almost like a practical masterclass
Yeah.
in how policy actually gets made, not just how we're told it's supposed to work.
Mm.
And think about the specific fields he's studying. For politics, being that close could give you insights into soft power dynamics.
Soft power.
Yeah, the subtle influences, the unwritten rules of how people interact, maybe the politics between different agencies that often decide outcomes, things that case studies rarely show you in full.
Right, the nuances.
Precisely. And for public policy, understanding how stakeholders interact or the challenges of actually implementing a policy is key. Being in the White House could offer this really unique view into the practical limits, the constraints, the sort of human factor that shapes how policies actually work on the ground. You're observing that whole complex dance between theory and practice from an incredibly privileged spot.
So it's less about just book learning and more about getting this intuitive feel, this felt knowledge that you probably couldn't get any other way. You're not just reading about how government works. You're kind of operating right there within its immediate orbit.
Pretty much, yeah.
But okay, let's shift gears just a little. This amazing access, this immersion, it must also come with some, I don't know, unique challenges, right?
Yeah.
Does the source give any hints about how being so close might also maybe shape or even complicate how a student thinks critically or experiences things?
That's a really important question.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I think the analysis gets deeper. Because, yes, the immersion is undeniable, and it could absolutely lead to unique insights.
Mm-hmm.
But it also makes you think about the potential filters, right? The filters through which information might get processed. Being inside that environment gives you incredible detail, incredible immediacy, sure, but maybe also a very specific viewpoint.
A potential bias, you mean?
Yeah.
Or just a limited perspective?
Potentially, yeah.
Yeah.
Or at least a very distinct one. Think about journalism studies, for instance. The whole challenge of source verification becomes kind of different when you live steps away from the primary sources, steps away from where official messages are crafted.
Yeah, I can see that.
The source suggests this could give a rare inside look at how narratives get built and pushed out. Maybe it even challenges that standard outside journalistic view.
That's interesting.
But it also raises big questions about maintaining critical distance. How do you analyze something objectively, report on it objectively when your daily life is so deeply tangled up with it? Suddenly, being able to spot different media framing strategies becomes super relevant right from the inside.
It's like a professional challenge wrapped up in a student's life. How do you step back and just observe when you're, literally inside the story?
Exactly.
And what about the more sort of personal side of university, the social life, privacy, the independence that students usually value? How does that work inside such a high-security, high-profile place?
Yeah, that's the other side of the coin. The source doesn't spell it out, but it implicitly points to the trade-offs involved. The academic opportunities might be huge, yes. But that traditional college social life, forming peer groups organically, the independence most students crave, those things would undoubtedly be affected. Very different.
You wouldn't just bump into classmates at the dining hall, presumably.
Probably not in the same way, no. A student's ability to just engage with normal campus activities, join clubs, or even just be anonymous sometimes, that would be drastically altered. So it raises these important questions about balancing the amazing learning advantages with the risk of being in a kind of bubble.
Right, a very unique bubble.
A very unique bubble, exactly. Where that proximity to power gives you deep insights, maybe, but perhaps narrowly focused understanding. You might miss out on the broader mix of interactions that usually define a well-rounded university education. It's a really fascinating example of how an extreme environment can both massively enrich and potentially limit parts of learning and growing up.
So what we're really looking at here is this situation that's like a living, breathing case study. It offers incredibly rich potential for learning, for data, but it also throws up these unique questions about critical thinking, social life, and what an independent academic path even looks like in this context. And just to be clear, our focus today, it's purely on understanding the facts of the situation that our source gives us, the move, the living situation, the academic program, and what those facts could mean for his learning journey, that intersection of environment and education.
Exactly.
We're deliberately not getting into any political commentary or guessing beyond what the source actually says. It's just about unpacking the what and the potential learning implications.
Right. Analyzing the situation described.
And that's really what makes this so interesting to explore. It's such a clear snapshot of how one person's educational path can be shaped, maybe even fundamentally changed, by really extraordinary circumstances. It's not just student goes to college, it's student goes to college from the White House, basically. And grappling with these huge opportunities for insight, but also these equally unique challenges. So just to quickly recap what we've covered today based on the source material, Barron Trump has made a significant move for his sophomore year. He's gone from NYU's main campus in Greenwich Village to their D.C. academic center.
Right.
And critically, his residence is now the White House itself. This move comes alongside an academic focus on politics, journalism, and public policy. Our source suggests this reflects a possible, though not confirmed, shift towards studies more focused on politics.
Right.
And we've talked about how this unique combination could offer amazing, maybe unparalleled insights into how power and policy work up close, but also how it presents distinct challenges, things like objectivity, privacy, and having a typical campus experience.
Yeah, that convergence of the academic program and the living situation. It really does create this complex, multifaceted scenario. It definitely makes you think, doesn't it? What are the specific challenges, and what are the truly profound insights someone might gain when they study politics, journalism, and public policy from such an incredibly central, immediate place like the White House? And maybe more deeply, what are the inherent trade-offs? When an educational journey prioritizes that kind of intense immersion over perhaps a more conventional, diverse university experience, it's a question that really gets at the heart of how we learn and how our physical, and in this case, political environments shapes how we understand the world around us.
That is a genuinely thought-provoking question, something for you, the listener, to definitely mull over, especially as you think about how your own environment shapes your understanding. We really want to thank you for joining us on this deep dive into such an unusual and I think fascinating educational path. Keep exploring, keep asking questions, and we'll catch you next time for another deep dive into the information that matters.